The birth under the baobab. The full moon hung low over the savannah, casting silver light across the village of the Ndlovu tribe. It was a sacred night. The moon was aligned with the ancient baobab tree, believed to be the dwelling of ancestors. Drums echoed softly in the distance as women gathered around a small hut on the eastern edge of the village. Inside, Nyasha lay on a bed of woven grass mats, her body trembling with the labor of childbirth. Her breathing was shallow, her eyes fixed on the flickering light of the oil lamp hanging from the roof. Sweat drenched her skin, and her voice cracked with each cry. By her side sat Mama Zula, the village midwife, her hands steady, her spirit calm. "You are strong, Nyasha," Mama Zula whispered. "The ancestors are with you. Push." With one final scream, Nyasha gave birth. Then, a heartbeat later, another cry filled the room. Gasps erupted among the women, not one, but two babies. Twins. Nyasha's eyes widened in awe as Mama Zula gently placed the two newborns beside her, a boy and a girl. "A rare gift," the midwife murmured. "This is a powerful omen." Outside, the villagers danced around the fire, unaware of the miracle unfolding. Jomo, Nyasha's husband, stood tall among them. He was a striking man, with dark eyes that burned like coal and shoulders broad from years of hunting. He wore a lion-tooth necklace, a symbol of his courage. But his heart had grown distant. He had been visiting Mabalika, a younger woman from a neighboring clan, beautiful and wild-spirited. She laughed easily, unlike Nyasha, whose heart had grown heavy with the burdens of marriage and motherhood. Mabalika had promised him adventure, passion, and perhaps, a son of his own. When a messenger boy approached him with the news, "Your wife has delivered twins," Jomo's face hardened. He said nothing. He turned his gaze away from the fire and walked silently into the night. Back in the hut, Nyasha stared at her children. The boy's eyes shimmered like the stars, the girl's cry was soft like falling rain. Mama Zula touched their foreheads and whispered ancient words. "These two," she said, "were born under the baobab moon. Their fate is woven into the destiny of the tribe. One will bring unity. The other, justice." Nyasha, exhausted, barely heard her. Her heart was filled with wonder and fear. What would Jomo say? Would he rejoice? Would he hold them in his arms? He did not come that night. Nor the next. Days passed. When he finally appeared, it was not to visit his wife or children. He came to announce that he was leaving Nyasha. "I must follow my own path," he declared before the council of elders. "Mabalika carries my future." The elders were stunned, but they could not stop him. Jomo was a warrior, his choices were his own. Nyasha, standing with her twins wrapped in goatskin, said nothing. Her heart broke in silence. But Mama Zula looked into her eyes and whispered, "He may leave, child. But the spirits have not." And far above them, the baobab tree stood still, its thick trunk like the spine of the earth. In its branches, an owl hooted. The ancestors were watching. Whispers in the wind. The sun rose lazily over the plains, spilling gold across the Ndlovu village. Morning chores began. Children fetched water, elders sat in circles grinding herbs, and the distant bleating of goats filled the air. But at Nyasha's hut, the mood remained still. Inside, she cradled her twins, wrapping them in soft bark cloth. She named the boy Kito, meaning precious, and the girl Amara, grace born from pain. Whispers had already spread through the village. Twins born under the baobab moon. Did you hear Jomo left her? For Mabalika. They say the twins bear power, the ancestors marked them. Nyasha heard them. She felt the weight of each word. Yet she kept her head high. In her heart, A fire had begun to burn, not of anger, but of strength. She would raise her children with dignity. If Jomo had turned away, then she would walk her own path. Mama Zula remained by her side, watching over the children as if they were her own. "These little ones," she said one morning, "will not live an ordinary life. The spirits danced the night they were born. But what does it mean?" Nyasha asked, her eyes tired. "Dreams have come to me," Mama Zula said, stirring herbs into a clay pot. "Strange dreams. A lion walking with a dove. Fire in the river. A man made blind by his own pride." Nyasha felt a chill. "Jomo." The old woman only looked away. "Time will tell." Far across the village, Jomo and Mabalika had begun their new life. Her hut was decorated with vibrant beads and feathers. She laughed often, and Jomo felt younger with her. But even in his laughter, there was an unease he could not explain. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Nyasha's face in the shadows. He heard the cry of the twins in the wind. At night, his dreams were filled with water and flame. He stood in the middle of a burning river, holding two children he could never reach. When he awoke, his chest was tight with regret, though he would not speak of it. Mabalika noticed the change. "You are with me, but your spirit is still with her," she said one night. "I have made my choice," Jomo replied sharply. "Nyasha is the past. The twins are nothing special, only a trick of fate." But even as he said it, the wind howled through the trees outside, rattling the bones hung above the door. Mabalika shivered. "You should not mock the ancestors," she whispered. Meanwhile, Kito and Amara grew quickly. By their third month, they had already surprised the village. Kito laughed in his sleep, even when no one had touched him. Amara would cry just moments before a storm broke, no matter how clear the sky had seemed. Birds lingered around their hut, and once, a snake slithered inside and simply coiled at their feet without harm. The elders began to take notice. "These are not ordinary children," said Elder Bako, a man who had seen 70 summers. "We must begin their blessings early." A small ceremony was held under the baobab tree. Nyasha stood with the twins while Mama Zula anointed their foreheads with red ochre. The villagers sang songs of the ancestors, and as the final drumbeat fell, a gust of wind swept through the tree's branches, though the day had been still. A murmur passed through the crowd. Even the skeptical began to believe. That night, as Nyasha nursed the twins, she whispered to them, "You are my heart. My future. Whatever path the spirits have chosen for you, I will walk beside you." In the distance, lightning split the sky in silence. And at Mabalika's hut, Jomo woke suddenly, drenched in sweat. In the corner of the room, a shadow flickered, not of man or woman, but something ancient. He blinked, and it was gone. But a voice echoed faintly in his ear, "The path you walk is not yours alone." The trial of the spirits. 3 years passed like a warm wind over the Ndlovu lands. Kito and Amara grew under Nyasha's watchful eye, running barefoot through the tall grass, laughing under the shade of the baobab, their bond inseparable. Where Kito ran wild like a young lion, Amara watched with quiet wisdom, her silence often more powerful than words. The villagers now spoke their names with reverence. "They walk with the spirits. Did you see Kito call the eagle from the sky?" And Amara. She knew Elder Nono would pass before the sun rose. Nyasha raised them with love but also caution. She knew attention could become danger. Power, even divine, could stir fear in human hearts. Meanwhile, Jomo's life with Mabalika had soured. Their passion faded like dying embers. Mabalika, once full of laughter, grew restless and impatient. She bore him no children, and the village began to whisper again, but this time, with ridicule. Left a queen with twins for a snake with nothing. The ancestors turn their backs on fools. One morning, Jomo awoke to find a crow perched on the post outside his door, staring directly at him. He threw a stone. It did not flinch. When he approached, it flew straight over his head and vanished toward the baobab tree. That same day, the tribal council gathered under the sun-baked circle of stones. Elder Bako stood with a carved staff, his voice slow and steady. "The time has come," he declared, "to present the children to the spirits of the land." "It is too early," argued one skeptical elder. "They are still babes." "Then you are blind," Mama Zula snapped. "Even the earth bends when they walk." The decision was made. A trial of the spirits, a sacred rite performed once in a generation, would test the children. Not for their strength, but for their harmony with the unseen world. Nyasha hesitated at first, but that night, under the baobab moon, she had a dream. Her children standing at the mouth of a great cave, holding hands, while the spirits whispered songs into the wind. She awoke with clarity. "They are ready," she said. At dawn, the village gathered near the sacred grove. Drums beat low and slow as Kito and Amara stood before the council, adorned in animal skins and painted with ash. The trial would take place within Cave Malinzi, the Guardian's Cave, where no flame burned and only truth could light the way. Mama Zula explained, "Each child must walk into the cave alone. The spirits will show them visions. If they return with clear eyes and steady hearts, they are accepted." Kito was the first. With his head held high, he stepped into the mouth of the cave, disappearing into the shadows. Minutes passed. Then 10. Then 20. Nyasha clutched her chest. Whispers rose again. But at last, Kito emerged, face pale, eyes wide, but calm. He walked to his mother and hugged her tightly. "What did you see, my son?" she asked. "A river of fire," he whispered. "And a man drowning in it. But the fire turned to water when I reached for him." Next, Amara entered the cave. Her steps were slower, her hands folded before her like a small priestess. She disappeared into the darkness. This time, nearly an hour passed. Jomo, watching from afar, began to feel unease in his bones. He had come in secret, hidden behind the acacia trees, curiosity and guilt dragging him there. When Amara finally emerged, the village held its breath. She looked around, then straight at Elder Bako. "The spirits say change is near. A throne shall fall, a river shall rise, and the man who broke what was sacred must kneel before what he abandoned." Gasps filled the air. Bako nodded slowly. "The spirits have spoken." The twins had passed the trial. From that day, no one questioned their destiny again. Nyasha stood taller. Her children, no longer just orphans of a broken marriage, were now seen as messengers of the unseen. But Jomo, hidden in the bushes, gripped the bark of the tree beside him. Amara's words had struck him like a spear. He remembered the fire in his dream, the river, and the children out of reach. And for the first time since leaving Nyasha, fear crept into his heart. The spirits stir in silence. In the days that followed the trial of the spirits, the Ndlovu tribe's rhythm shifted. The air felt heavier, not with dread, but anticipation, like the sky before a storm. Elders spoke in hushed tones. Hunters made offerings twice instead of once. Even the goats seemed restless. The twins, Kito and Amara, now carried a new title, Watoto wa Roho, Children of the Spirit. Wherever they went, villagers stepped aside with respect. But not all hearts welcomed them. Some feared what power they could bring. Others whispered that they would draw misfortune upon the village. And in the shadows, envy stirred. One night, under the fading glow of the moon, Nyasha woke to the sound of rustling leaves. She crept out of her hut, gripping a wooden staff. Her eyes scanned the darkness until they landed on two figures near the baobab tree. The twins. Quito was crouched beside a stone, whispering to it. Amara stood tall, her arms raised to the stars. Quito. Nyasha called softly. He turned, startled. Mama, we couldn't sleep. The wind called us. The wind, she echoed, approaching. Yes, Amara said. It said the river would speak soon. Nyasha knelt beside them, her heart caught between awe and fear. Let's go inside, she said. The world is too quiet tonight. But as they turned to go, a sudden gust swept through the branches of the baobab. From its trunk came a sound, not wind, not animal, but something deeper. A groaning hum, a voice ancient and wordless. The children froze. They're coming, Amara whispered. Who? Nyasha asked, her voice trembling. The Watchers. The next morning, strange signs appeared in the village. Chickens lay eggs with red speckles. The sacred drum cracked down its center. And an elder, one who had doubted the twins, was found muttering nonsense by the riverbank, unable to speak his name. Mama Zula arrived at Nyasha's hut before the sun had fully risen. The time has come, she said, to prepare the children for Ukuumka, the awakening. Nyasha shook her head. They are still young. Zula's eyes were firm. The spirits do not wait for age. The signs are clear. Something sleeps beneath the land, and the twins are the key. As preparations began, a storm brewed beyond the mountains, sending winds that tore through the village. Trees bent, dust choked the air, and animals ran for cover. The people gathered in the meeting circle, seeking guidance. Elder Bako stood, leaning on his staff. This is no ordinary storm, he said. The ancestors stir. Something hidden will be revealed. But not all voices agreed. One man stepped forward, strong, tall, with eyes like burning coal. Jomo. He had returned, no longer hiding. These signs come from those children, he said, his voice rising. They have brought imbalance. We must send them away, or we risk the wrath of the land. Gasps echoed. Nyasha stepped into the circle, fury in her eyes. You dare speak of wrath when you abandoned them. When you left your blood for dust. I see now what I could not see before, Jomo said. And I fear what they may become. Elder Bako raised a hand. Enough. The spirits chose them. You have no voice in this council. But Jomo would not be silenced. If we follow this path, it may lead to ruin. That night, the wind screamed louder than before. The baobab tree groaned again, louder now, and its roots cracked the earth below. From within the village, a tremor rippled through the soil, a heartbeat of something long buried. Inside Nyasha's hut, Amara sat awake, staring at the wall. Quito, she whispered. He stirred. What is it? I saw the mountain split. And a crown fall into fire. Quito sat up. What does it mean? I don't know, she replied. But something is coming. And we are part of it. Outside, the storm broke open. Lightning lit the sky in streaks of white. Rain poured like the tears of the ancestors. And beneath the ground, something ancient stirred, as if it had heard its name called after 1,000 years of silence. The serpent beneath the hill. The morning after the storm, the village was cloaked in silence. Broken branches littered the paths, huts were stripped of their thatched roofs, and the sacred drum, once the heartbeat of Ndlovu, lay split in two like a fallen tree. No one spoke of Jomo's outburst the day before, but his words hung in the air like smoke from a smoldering fire. Elder Baco summoned the council before sunrise. The fire in the meeting circle was still damp from the rain, but urgency brought the elders early. The earth trembled, he said. We must consult the Mulimaji, the keeper of the hill. Gasps followed his words. The Mulimaji lived beyond the hills, near the edge of the forbidden lands, and was said to guard knowledge too old for memory. Few had ever met him. Fewer had returned unchanged. Mama Zula nodded. It is time. The children must go. Nyasha's heart clenched. Go. Where? To the hill, Zula said. To wake what must be woken, and to put to sleep what must not rise. Nyasha looked to her twins, playing quietly in the corner with carved wooden animals. They looked so young, so innocent. Yet deep inside, she had known this day would come. I will go with them, she said. Elder Baco nodded. You are their anchor. That afternoon, the journey began. Mama Zula, Nyasha, the twins, and 2 warriors chosen as guards, not for protection from beasts, but from whatever else might stir beyond the village, set out for the hill. Jomo watched them go from behind the tall grass, a storm brewing again in his chest. The journey was not far in distance, but the path twisted like a serpent through dense trees and forgotten ground. Birds did not sing. The sun rarely touched the forest floor. It was a place where time seemed to pause. After hours of silence, they reached the base of the hill. It rose like the humped back of a great beast, covered in thick green vines. At its peak, the ancient stones of the Mulimaji's dwelling could barely be seen. We go alone from here, Mama Zula told the warriors. This is a place of spirit, not steel. They climbed slowly, the twins helping each other, their hands often brushing the earth as if they were listening to it. At the summit, they found him. The Mulimaji sat cross-legged before a ring of stones, his skin the color of tree bark, hair long and white like the river's foam. His eyes were closed, yet when they approached, he spoke. 3 children, he said in a voice that rumbled like distant thunder. There are only 2, Nyasha said, confused. No, he replied. 3. One of light, one of shadow, and one who chose neither but must carry the weight of both. The group fell silent. The twins looked at each other. Amara tilted her head. Who is the 3rd? The Mulimaji opened his eyes. They were pure white, no pupils. He is the one who abandoned the path and now follows behind it. He watches. He fears. He burns with shame. Jomo, Mama Zula whispered. The old man nodded slowly. He is bound to the children. By blood, by choice, by punishment yet to come. He stood and pointed toward the valley beyond the hill. There, he said, lies the mouth of the serpent. They looked and saw a narrow cave at the base of a rocky cliff, almost invisible, as though the earth itself tried to forget it. Within it sleeps the memory of a crown once stolen. A betrayal not yet healed. To stop what comes, they must enter. They must awaken the truth. Amara stepped forward. Will it hurt? Yes, the Mulimaji said. Kito took her hand. We are ready. The old man reached into the earth and pulled forth 2 necklaces, one of bone, the other of obsidian. He handed them to the children. These will show what your eyes cannot see. But beware, the serpent does not lie. It only reveals. That night, they camped on the hilltop. Below, lightning flickered once again on the horizon. And deep in the shadows of the valley, something shifted in the cave, as if ancient breath stirred for the first time in centuries. Into the serpent's mouth. Before dawn broke, the wind changed. It carried with it the smell of earth and stone, old, undisturbed, sacred. Nyasha stood watching her twins as they slept curled together beneath a woven blanket. The necklaces from the Mulimaji hung loosely around their necks, glowing faintly under the stars. You still have time to turn back, Mama Zula said beside her, voice low. Nyasha shook her head. They were born for this. If I pull them away now, I silence the very reason they were given to me. The old woman smiled gently. You have the strength of 10 mothers. By sunrise, the group descended the hill, making their way to the narrow cave hidden beneath the cliffs. It looked like a crack in the world itself, long, dark, and breathing cold air. The mouth of the serpent. Quito stepped forward first. We go together. Mama Zula placed a hand on his shoulder. Once inside, you will see what the spirit wants to show you. No one else will see what you see. Trust your bond. The twins entered, hand in hand. The necklaces glowed brighter with each step. Nyasha watched until the shadows swallowed them whole, her heart thudding like war drums in her chest. Inside the cave, silence greeted them, thick, almost alive. The walls pulsed faintly with veins of light. Then the tunnel split in two. Without words, the twins understood. They had to part. Quito took the left path, Amara the right. The moment they separated, the cave changed. For Quito, the tunnel became narrow and steep. The air grew warmer. He felt sweat bead on his brow as the rock underfoot cracked with heat. Flames danced in the distance, but did not burn him. He reached a chamber glowing red like the belly of a volcano. At the center stood a figure, tall, broad, shadowed. Who are you? Quito asked, clutching his necklace. The figure turned, revealing Jomo's face, but not as Quito had seen him. This version was twisted with anger, sorrow, and longing. I left because I was afraid, the shadow said. I feared your light would show my weakness. You're not real, Quito whispered. I am what could be, it replied. And what still might. Then the chamber began to crumble. Quito ran, the necklace around his neck glowing hot, guiding him back toward the split in the tunnel. Meanwhile, Amara's path was cold, lined with mist. Her bare feet made no sound. She reached a chamber that smelled of rain and old tears. A pool of water sat in the middle, reflecting nothing, not even her own face. She approached and a voice echoed softly, What do you fear, child of grace? I fear losing Quito. The water rippled. I fear the crown falling on the wrong head. The water shuddered. I fear forgiving my father. Then the water stilled and revealed a vision, Jomo, older, kneeling before 2 thrones of stone, offering a crown broken in half. Tears welled in Amara's eyes. He must choose the truth or be swallowed. The necklace around her neck pulsed with light. The chamber faded, and a warm wind pushed her gently back through the tunnel. At the cave's heart, the twins met again. They were older now, not in years, but in eyes. Did you see it too? Quito asked. Yes, Amara replied. They turned toward the final chamber where the walls opened like ribs, revealing a mural etched in golden ash. It showed a great king holding hands with a woman in fire and 2 children standing behind them, casting shadows longer than mountains. Amara placed her hand on the wall. It shimmered, then cracked. A rumble echoed deep beneath the earth. Not anger, awakening. The serpent had stirred, and the path forward had been marked. The twins stepped back into the sunlight, the world around them oddly still. Nyasha rushed forward, wrapping them in her arms. You've changed, she whispered. Quito and Amara looked at each other. Yes, Amara said. And so must he.